Section 25, Legal Hotline Q&A, Arizona Commissioner's Standards, Course Wrap-Up and Final Closing. Introduction, the final test, when it all comes together. Jessica sat back after completing her last CE course. She had learned about contracts, disclosures, trust accounts, supervision, advertising, all the pieces. But what really stuck with her were the real-world scenarios, the messy, complicated situations where the answer wasn't always obvious. Because that's where real estate actually happens, not in perfect textbook situations, but in real life. This final section brings everything together through Legal Hotline Q&A, showing how the rules you've learned apply when things get complicated, and more importantly, how to protect your license when they do. Security deposits, timing matters more than pressure. A tenant wants their security deposit back early. The owner cannot be reached. The property is heading toward foreclosure. What should the broker do? Wait. Even though the situation feels urgent, the broker cannot return the security deposit unless the landlord approves or the proper legal event, such as the trustee's sale, has occurred. For example, Jessica might feel pressure from a tenant who is moving out early and wants their deposit back. But without proper authorization, returning those funds would be a violation. Jessica realized that doing the nice thing is not always the legal thing. Commingling in property management, it can happen without realizing it. A brokerage manages properties for clients, but also manages properties owned by its own agents. All funds are placed in the same trust account. Is this allowed? No, because under Arizona law, agents and brokers are treated as the same entity. Holding personal funds alongside client funds creates commingling, even if it seems harmless. The solution is simple but critical. Separate trust accounts must be used. Jessica realized that commingling doesn't always look obvious. Sometimes it happens because systems aren't set up correctly. Returning funds. After termination, the 35-day rule. A property management agreement ends and the owner demands all funds immediately. Can the property manager release everything right away? Not necessarily. Arizona law provides a structured timeline. Within 5 days, a list of tenant security obligations must be provided. Within 35 days, remaining funds must be returned, except for money needed to cover outstanding obligations. For example, if Jessica knows a contractor invoice is coming, she can retain enough funds to cover that expense before returning the balance. This ensures fairness to both the owner and any outstanding service providers. Jessica learned that timelines protect everyone, not just the broker. Management fees and sales tax. Know what you're charging on a property manager collects rent plus rental tax. Can the management fee be charged on the total amount collected? No. Management fees should only be based on rent, not on sales tax. For example, if rent is $2,500 and tax is collected separately, the management fee applies only to the $2,500, not the total combined amount. Jessica realized that even small miscalculations can create compliance issues if they are not handled correctly. Trustee's sale, who gets the rent? A property is foreclosed and ownership transfers through a trustee's sale. The tenant continues paying rent to the old property management company. What happens to those funds? They must be forwarded to the new owner, the lender. Once the trustee's sale occurs, the property management agreement is no longer valid. For example, if Jessica continues collecting rent after the sale and keeps it or distributes it incorrectly, that creates a serious issue. This scenario highlights how quickly authority can change in real estate, and how important it is to stay aware of those changes. Prepaid rent, not always held in trust. A tenant wants to prepay rent for the entire lease term. Does the property manager have to hold those funds in trust? No. Unless otherwise agreed, the landlord is entitled to receive those funds when they are collected. However, if the broker does hold prepaid rent, it must be kept in the trust account. Jessica realized that not all funds are treated the same. Understanding the type of money matters. Handling mixed funds, the collection agency problem. A collection agency sends one check that includes funds for multiple sources: client properties, personal properties, and closed accounts. What should the broker do? Require separate checks. This prevents commingling and ensures that funds are deposited into the correct accounts. For example, Jessica cannot deposit a mixed check and sort it out later. That would create compliance issues. Instead, she must insist on clear separation before accepting the funds. Real-world example: the "I thought it was fine" mistake. A property manager received a combined payment from a collection agency and deposited it into the trust account. They planned to separate the funds later. During an audit, the issue was discovered. Even though there was no intent to violate the law, the act itself created commingling. Jessica realized something important. Intent does not matter as much as action. Bringing it all together, the real standard of a professional. Throughout this course, Jessica learned about laws, rules, and systems. But in the end, it all came down to one thing: professional judgment, knowing when to wait, knowing when to act, knowing when to ask questions, knowing when something doesn't feel right. Every section in this course connects. License renewal keeps you active, supervision keeps you accountable, advertising keeps you honest. Record keeping keeps you protected, trust accounts keep you compliant, policies keep everything consistent. Jessica realized that being a real estate professional is not about memorizing rules. It's about applying them correctly in real-world situations. Because in Arizona real estate, success is not just measured by closings. It's measured by how well you protect your clients, your broker, and your license. Final thought: your license is your business. At the end of the day, your license is more than a credential. It's your reputation, your income, your future. Every decision you make either protects it or puts it at risk. Jessica closed her notebook, confident in one thing. She wasn't just renewing her license. She was raising her standard. Online discussion 1. Why is it important to follow strict timelines when returning funds in property management? Answer: because Arizona law establishes specific deadlines to ensure fairness and proper handling of funds, protecting both owners and tenants. 2. What is the biggest risk of commingling funds, even accidentally? Answer: the biggest risk is disciplinary action, as commingling violates trust account rules regardless of intent. 3. Why must property managers adjust their actions after a trustee's sale? Answer: because ownership changes immediately, and the authority to collect or distribute funds shifts to the new owner.